I'm back. So, haven't posted for a little bit since my last fiasco, you guys. I tried to post. A few of you might have been here. I was posting a whole fucking thing I did about the Vatican girl documentary. And huge technical difficulties. They still haven't figured out why or what happened. But ended up taking it down. It's been about a week. Been posting some shorts, no big deal. But check this out. Since we started this a couple of weeks ago, I have added 50 subscribers. I'm up to 52 subscribers, and I could not be more thrilled with that. Considering my content shit, I rarely post, I hardly go live. But I got 50 people that are subscribing to my channel, and I could not thank you guys enough. I love and appreciate you. And so we're going to try and get through today without too many technical difficulties. We'll see how it goes. So what I want to talk to you or with you today about is this whole shit show in Tennessee. This, how do you say it? LaVergne, Tennessee. And this police officer, Megan Hall, I think is her name, who was found out she was a married female police officer, and she had been having sex with up to six, maybe more, but we know about 6 other officers on the force, and it became a big scandal. I believe she was fired, and some of the other officers were suspended, if not let go. And now it's come out that 4 of those officers are going to be uncertified to be police officers in the state of Tennessee. So I've been following it. I know I'm a little bit late on this thing, but that's okay. I'm going to be late on most things I talk about because, like you, I got a real job and I'm not a full-time streamer. So I post when I can. That being said, I want to watch a little bit of a video that I watched from, it's basically, and you're going to find that there's a lot of it. I'm watching a lot of this. The take that Hassan Abi had done on this, and he's actually reacting to a video that is another streamer that I follow, goes by the name of Moist Critical, did on the take. And you know, generally I like the content from both these individuals. I generally do. But honestly, I was a little disappointed in what I had to see. So I kind of want to start us off by watching this. I'm going to do some reacting, and then we're going to bump around on Twitter and YouTube a little bit, see how it goes. And I don't know, maybe we'll stop the stream from there. Okay, so let's switch over to my screen, and you know what? I can stay that big. And let's watch what these guys have to say. Let's kind of watch and listen. I'll stop and pause and react as I see fit.
Cop that fucked everybody, and I want to hear what Normie Jesus had to say about it.
It seems like Batman and I have nothing in common, but nothing could be further from the truth. There is one thing we share, and that is an obsession. Batman is obsessed with justice. I'm obsessed with goofiness. Wherever there is goofiness, I will be there. I'm drawn to it like flies to a porta potty. I can't help myself. If I was one of the founding fathers of the United States of America, the unalienable rights talked about in the Declaration of Independence would have referred to life, liberty, and the pursuit of goofiness. Now, why am I mentioning this? Well, because I have one hell of a story to share with you today that I'm sure all of you are already aware of because it's been memed to death. But I have...
The memes are exactly how I found out about this, right? I didn't know what the fuck was going on. And I started seeing the memes and this person's face, this Megan's face, and all these memes, and probably like you, because, you know, I can't keep up on every current event, probably like you, you know, I wanted to know what this was about. I saw him on TikTok, I saw him on YouTube, Reddit, and so he's going to go on to talk about it a little bit more, but like a lot of the news we get, you know, if I'm, you know, shit, I'm 56 years old. I'm late to the party most of the time. I'm late to the party most of the time. So I rely on these guys to kind of bring me up to speed. So let's listen to Moist.
Talked about it. And you know what? That just doesn't sit right with me anymore. So let's talk about the massive police scandal that's gone on this week in Tennessee, where 5 officers were fired after it was revealed that it was basically just a fucking porno set at the department. It came out that at least 5 male officers were engaging in sexual relations with a female officer who is married, by the way. And they were sending dick pics, taint pics, butthole.
Okay, one of the best parts about this is, and I called this before the investigation was concluded or we knew anything about this. I told you it was like definitely a tiny fucking department. Okay? And it was. Turns out the Nashville suburb of LaVergne has only 6.
Right, Hassan, but that's the wrong take. It's already the wrong take. Yes, it's a tiny department, 100%. But where he started was she was married. And the first question I had in my mind that I don't have answered yet is, were they married to? And I'm going to start you off by telling you right now, do I think it's right what she did? I don't fucking know. I'm not her. I'm not her marriage. I'm not them. I'm not their marriage. Should they have been doing this at work? Probably not. Probably not. But this whole controversy has been derived in complete and utter slut shaming, in my opinion. All the memes, everything, how it's talked about, the news articles, 100% make her out to be the bad guy. And because she's female. And the truth of the matter is there's multiple people involved in this thing. Multiple people involved in this thing. And they're really, honestly, it seems to me, they're all in the wrong. But let's hear about the small police department.
Cops in the department, which means she fucked 1/10 of the department that we know of that came out.
60 people in the police department. She banged like
that's
6
crazy.
That we know of. 1/10.
No wonder they gave her a community service medal, dude. That's wild. She fucked 10% of the department, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's iconic. That's iconic. That's iconic.
Pics, whatever, all kinds of photos of their genitals, and having sex at the police station on duty, and having girls gone wild type parties. This sounds more like a frat house out of an American Pie movie than it does a department that's supposed to protect and serve the community. The only thing that was being protected was their penises. Maybe. They probably weren't even using condoms. No jimmies. It was probably raw dog. But what they were serving was spaghetti and meatballs. Hold the spaghetti. Just the meatballs. As they were clapping against the cheeks of Officer Megan, whom engaged in many sexual encounters at the department while having a husband. Obviously, that's a pretty...
She was protecting and serving, dude. She was serving cunt, okay? Like, literally.
So both these guys are going for the easy joke. They're both streamers. They're both streamers on Twitch. 90% of their audience is male, and they're young men. Very young men. So this is like the market at work right now. And that's why I'm disappointed in both them. They're verging on serving it to their audience so they'll get the clicks. But they're being kind of shitty, right? They're being kind of shitty about it.
Also figuratively, but definitely literally as well. I respect it. I respect it so much.
Horrible thing to do. And it's also very weird that it went on for so long. Just a very weird...
It's just, she said, fuck the police. And by that, I mean literally. She said, I'm going to back the blue. And by that, I mean I'm going to back into the blue. I'm going to back that thing up, okay?
Situation overall. But before I get too deep, there's something else that I think's a little weird. And that's people who don't drink G Fuel. More specifically, they don't drink Divine Peach G Fuel.
Here comes the commercial.
Beautiful energy drink.
Forward.
A new flavor called Flavor or Fuel product. Back to the topic here. This is a pretty fucked up situation. This is why you've probably been seeing her photo on every single meme or piece of content that refers even lightly to cheating. It's because of this story. There's a lot to unpack here, such as like hot tub parties, which a lot of sex, clearly. But one hotspot was actually at the police department's own gym, where a lot of oral sex seemed to be happening there. So I guess this gym membership came with a happy ending.
Shields told the city investigators that Hall performed oral sex on him in the police gym after initially having claimed, "I've never had sex with Megan Hall." Bro, that's fire, dude. That is fire, okay? It's not fireable. I don't know why they fucking clapped their ass cheeks like this. I mean figuratively, because like they did clap her ass cheeks literally. It's crazy. She was just like sucking dudes off at the gym. Like, that's awesome. Good.
Restaurant workers all over the world are watching this and wondering what's the big deal at this point, right? Restaurant workers, people working in Amazon fulfillment centers, right? This is just another Tuesday.
For her. More power to her. Powell was also initially denied having any sexual relationship with Hall. Powell also claimed that as the investigations progressed, he and Hall compared notes in a failed bid to keep their tryst a secret from investigators. Powell confirmed that he and Hall met at Planet Fitness. Powell confirmed they discussed the investigation, and Powell told Hall he denied all the allegations during his interview with HR.
It sounds like more dick was getting sucked at this gym than at the casting couch. Now, like most people with a soul, when I read this story, my heart broke for the husband in this situation, because not only has he been getting cheated on for such a long time, he got cheated on to such a ridiculous degree that it cost his wife her job.
It turns out, isn't he staying with her too?
Which is obviously a big blow to the household income. But buckle your seatbelts, because this is where the ride gets a little bumpy and very interesting. After all this news broke and the husband found out, he made a statement saying that he supports his wife and will stand by her as they work through this problem in their marriage.
Yeah, he's a cuck. He 100% is a cuckold, okay? And honestly, like, dude, what? Is it only fucking like, is it only supposed to be like fucking queer Zoomers that get to do this kind of weird kink shit, dude? Let the Tennessee man have his fun. Clearly, this is what he's into.
Marriage. I'm not here to opine on that. Whatever makes you happiest, I suppose, but goddamn, fucking jinkies. Zoinks, Scoob.
His name is Jedediah. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, I just came a little bit. I'm sorry. I make this joke all the time. Jedediah is one of my favorite names. Like, I use it all the time as.
Do you know how many men, women at that matter, but how many men, if caught in a situation like this, feel so hurt and don't have a way to process it, they end up unaliving their partner? Because this goes on all around the world. People make mistakes and are on becoming unfaithful. Now, I don't know if this Jebediah and Megan had an open relationship, and I don't think anybody really knows. That could be held really close to the vest. I don't know if they didn't have a don't ask, don't tell policy. Maybe she's completely in the wrong and she was acting outside of their marriage. I don't know. And I know these two fucking knuckleheads don't know. But the way they're talking, again, they're making her out to be the bad person. And they make it look like the husband is a fucking idiot for staying with his wife. Now, there's some people that really look at, what's going on here? I don't want to change that. So there's some people that take the vows of marriage. And now let's keep in mind, this is in Tennessee in the Bible Belt. They take the vows of marriage serious to the point that they're not getting divorced no matter what. No matter what you think that would be your, like, the line where you have to stop. Like, I can't do it anymore. If XYZ were to happen, I'm out. And that's your morality, and that's your way you want to do things. But you can't put that on other people, nor should you. Right? If she acted outside the marriage and he has decided that he wants to work it out with his wife. Honestly, I see that as admirable. I see that. I wish more people had that kind of balls and integrity. Now, I can't believe I'm saying this about a fucking cop, to be honest, because if you know anything about me, I am no fan of the fucking police. And we'll get to that in a minute. You know, that's where there's a little bit of a shit show for me. I honestly, everybody involved kind of seems like they might be a little bit shitty. And I'm okay with that with a certain amount of shaming, quite honestly, because they're fucking cops. But what's happened is we've made, this woman has been made to be a harlot. She has a scarlet letter on her. And how many times is this happening in police forces where it's not a female, it's a male? Police force, sheriff's departments, FBI, corrections officers, prison guards in general, like the amount of sexual straight up rape, to be honest, and other things that happen from these people in authority who are police officers that perpetrate that shit on just average normal citizens is completely unlooked at. And it's rarely looked at it. Shit, you can beat someone to fucking death as a police officer, and we know that. And it's hard pressed to be suspended. And I want to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Let's go back to what fucking Tweedledee and Tweedledum have to say about this.
A sentence modifier. And it turns out this fucking guy's name is actually Jedediah. Holy shit. Oh, that's so good. He's a Coffee County Sheriff's deputy who's the husband of former LaVergne, Tennessee police officer Megan Hall. He used to be a park ranger. He has a master's degree. And he's definitely a cuckold, okay? This is so sad and horrible. Jedediah Hall was featured in a blog post by Tennessee State Parks. At the time, the blog described him as a park ranger for Bicentennial Capitol Mall State Park. The blog asks, what experiences inspired you to work with the Tennessee State Parks? I grew up in Chapel Hill, Tennessee, and spent my weekends and summers in the woods and on the riverbanks of Henry Horton State Park. Without much money to travel, Henry Horton became my family's go-to summer destination. Growing up on the trails and swimming in the river made me fall in love with our state parks. This guy just likes state parks and watching his wife get fucked by every cop that is on the payroll of the state, of the government. Okay? When I got older and began working on my master's degree at MTSU, I had the goal of being a teacher. However, the summer after my first year, I was hired by Henry Horton State Park as a seasonal interpretive recreator. That summer changed my life, and I decided to teach park visitors about
Let's speed some of this shit up.
You know he is piping the wife. I've offered and extended to him any resource that he needs. And all he says is, Sheriff, I just want to work for the citizens of Coffee County, and I love what I'm doing. Parton told Daily Man, I don't condone what went on at the LaVergne Police Department, but he sure hasn't broken any laws. He's the victim here. There's not a blemish on his record. He's doing a phenomenal, phenomenal job, double phenomenal. You know he is piping the wife. Jedediah Hall was the son of a pastor and married Megan Hall in 2018.
He's the son of a pastor. Which means, more than likely, he's the son of a pastor in Tennessee and became a cop. Which means he has a certain amount of reverence for what they believe the sanctity of marriage is. Now, obviously, could you think of something more humiliating than going through this? For everyone involved, right? Everyone involved. The officers that engaged in sex with Officer Megan Hall, the husband of Megan Hall, the police officer, the police department, the mayor of LaVergne, Tennessee, the state of Tennessee. I mean, they're getting publicity that they don't want. So everybody's embarrassed by this. The amount of integrity it takes to stand up and say, I'm going to stay with my wife and we're going to work it out. In the face of, not just because it happened, but it happened and the fucking world knows, and it's become a meme. Her face will be a meme at this point for being a whore for the rest of her life. For the rest of your life, her face will represent that.
Jedediah Hall was not on board with his wife's behavior, the investigative report says. This guy has a Biggest Loser award. What the fuck? According to the LaVergne investigative report, Megan Hall told one of the suspended officers, Patrick Maglioccio, you know, when you're Italian in a neighborhood like LaVergne, Tennessee, I suspect you are like the most POC.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? This
Of
is like,
course, there's a fucking Dago in the middle.
like she was looking for exotic dick. You know what I mean? Told Patrick Maglioccio that her husband really wasn't on board with her behavior. Maglioccio told investigators that he and his wife had an open marriage, and Hall... Wait, what? Maglioccio had an open marriage? And he and his wife had an open marriage, and Hall had asked him about doing things with Maglioccio and his wife. Bro, what are these guys doing? They're fucking and sucking, dude. That's what they're doing, okay? They are not stopping. They're fucking, they're sucking. There's no stopping anybody out here in LaVergne. Holy shit, Coffee County. Just everybody's fucking. It describes how at one party, Hall and Magliocco's wife started kissing and Hall's husband came into the room and seemed upset. That's when Hall is accused of telling Maglioccio of Jedediah Hall. He really wasn't on board. Maglioccio admitted having sexual intercourse with Hall on numerous occasions, the report says, and told investigators Megan Hall asked him for money so she could get a hotel room with her husband without her husband knowing. One of the fired officers told investigators that he had heard Hall and Maglioccio were in open marriages, the report says. Wow. There's just so many memes to be made out of this. I respect it so much. The report says the investigator recommended a suspension for officers Patrick Maglioccio, Larry Holiday, there's more, holy fuck, and Gavin Schoberl. According to USA Today, Mayor Jason Cole accepted those recommendations, calling the behavior unacceptable. They're cops, brother. They're not fucking getting fired. Imagine that's the wildest part about this is that like this is what cops get fired for. Meanwhile, they they just get desk duty for a little bit if they shoot someone and kill them.
I want to talk about that. So this is the point, one of the points behind the misogyny that's going on around this. One of the points that I wanted to make is, why are the police acting so fast and the city council acting so fast in this circumstance compared to other scenarios that we know about as far as shooting of unarmed, we're going to talk about some of that, shooting of unarmed citizens. Really, physically, no one's harmed in this scenario. Now, they broke some rules. I don't think they even broke any laws. And they more than likely, not just her, but some of these police officers broke the sanctity of their marriage if they weren't supposed to act that way inside their marriage. They undoubtedly, I'm sure there's some hurt feelings, but no laws were broken. But why is this? So obviously sex sells, right? So it's a scandal and everyone's going to talk about it. But why is the police department acting so fast in this case? Because it doesn't look good upon them. I'm going to tell you why. Every one of the people around this scenario, the city councils, the mayor, chief of police, whoever it is, the police unions, all that stuff, they usually get in the middle and muck this shit up so we can't get rid of like the bad apple cops. They're all fucking married, every single one of them. Guaranteed. They're all married. And they go home and they got to hear about, what are you going to do about that? Most likely, because this is the way a police force works. Most of the people that are in supervisorial roles around this are going to be male, which means they most likely, and they're probably going to be cis, het, white, maybe not, but men in heterosexual relationships, which means their partner is going to be more than likely a female. Not in all cases. I don't want to generalize, but that's just the averages, and that's probably what it is. So there's a bunch of fucking wives going, this is bullshit. What's going on at work? What are you fucking guys doing over there? And so they got to act swiftly. They're protecting their own asses and showing how strong and brave and how they aren't going to put up with it, with this kind of behavior at work. So they hung her out to dry with a fucking, because let's make her the whore. And they put a scarlet letter on her, and they get rid of these other cops and say those are the bad apples. So they're not looked at home. Because all cops are bastards. They wouldn't do this shit if an unarmed citizen was shot. They won't act this fucking fast, guys. But this is because no one gives a shit about that. No one gives a shit about that. They suppress body cameras. You if it wasn't for the fact that you have your own camera and your own video and you're filming the stuff that's going on in the street, you know for a fact there's shit going on. But in that police department, there's probably 10 other people banging everybody else. Or doing worse. Or doing much worse. There's so much worse shit you can do than catching a random fucking blowjob or giving one. There's so much worse shit you can do on the planet. There's a bunch of wives standing around going, what are you going to fucking do about it? Because to them, it's the worst thing they could ever think of. And if someone stands up and lays the hammer down, then it doesn't look like they're a part of. But I fucking promise you people know, shit like that does not go on inside a department without everyone fucking knowing. Now, maybe not everybody knew, but a lot of fucking people know. A lot. You know from where you work at. You know what the fuck Mike had for lunch. People don't shut the fuck up. Let's jump over. I want to take a look at some of this stuff that I'm seeing on Twitter right now. So this, I'm not saying that there's another story I want to talk about. The Tennessee cops are in the fucking news right now because there was, and actually let's jump on over to, let's watch this video. This is now, I'm in Sacramento, California. And so a man was just beaten to death who originally lived in Sacramento and moved to Tennessee, and Tennessee police officers beat him to death. And I want to talk about this story a little bit.
They very much respected the work of law enforcement officers.
I think I need to go back here. Let's go back to the beginning.
Officers fired 5 Memphis police officers, losing their jobs following the death of a man who grew up here in Sacramento, taken into custody after a traffic stop in Tennessee. And tonight, the Memphis Police Department says all 5 of those officers violated multiple department policies after pulling over 29-year-old Tyre Nichols on January 7th.
Poor man.
Friends are remembering Tyre as there are now several local and federal investigations into his death. KCRA3's Melanie Wingo joins us with more on how he's being remembered. Melanie?
Well, this all started with that traffic stop on January 7th. 3 days later, Tyre Nichols, formerly of Sacramento, was dead. Tonight, his friends and loved ones are remembering him, while a U.S. attorney for the Western District of Tennessee confirms the FBI field office in Memphis and the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice are now investigating his death.
He was just positive and happy and kind. And he was the kind of man we needed in this
smile.
world.
Angelina Paxton remembering Tyre Nichols.
We met at church. We met at our youth group, Flipped 180 in Natomas, and a lot of people would know what that is. It was a very popular youth group.
Meeting in their teen years and remaining friends all through their early adulthood.
We walked into a room and everybody smiled.
The two stayed connected even after Tyre left Sacramento for Tennessee.
He wanted to be closer to his mom. His mom lives in Memphis.
Tyre would never visit Sacramento again. The 29-year-old died after a traffic stop involving Memphis police.
Traffic stop.
That's not who he was.
How many times do you hear that?
Sorry.
Traffic stop.
That's not who he was.
A photo shared by Tyre's
Jesus.
family showing him in the hospital in the days following his
Jesus
arrest
Christ.
after a traffic stop.
And to see him like that, I never could imagine his face even looking like that. I can't imagine anyone ever doing that to him.
Friends and family wondering what led to his life ending like this.
He had nothing to hide. He just came from Starbucks. Honestly, his mom said that he went to Starbucks and never came home.
According to Memphis police, Tyre was pulled over January 7th for reckless driving. They say a confrontation occurred during that traffic stop. Tyre allegedly taking off on foot and officers chasing him. Officers took Tyre into custody after another confrontation, they say. When he complained of having shortness of breath, he was taken to the hospital where he died less than 3 days later.
There's no way. There's no way. I know this man. I've known him for years.
You know, you're not supposed to get a death sentence in this country for a traffic stop, but a lot of people do. A lot of people do.
And I know he is not. He doesn't do drugs. He doesn't drink. He was avid about his faith in God.
Family having a difficult time believing what police say happened in his final hours to a man they say very much respected the work of law enforcement officers.
Oh, look at this, Cassandra H. on the chat. Hello, Cassandra. What's going on? Oh, hey, what's happening here? You know what's happening here. All cops are bastards, and we're just showing it. We're showing some of the unfortunately, the most recent examples. How are you doing? That's a good-looking dog you have in that picture.
And we have learned that the family of Tyre Nichols will be viewing body camera video on Monday. That video taken from these 5 officers involved in the incident. Those officers now fired from the Memphis Police Department after an internal review. That review determining the officers violated multiple department policies, including excessive use of force, duty to intervene, and duty to render aid. Meanwhile, a memorial for Tyre is set for February 4th.
So it's been made a really big thing that obviously that Tyre was a man of color, and these 5 officers were, and they've made it a point to show that these 5 officers are men of color. And there are more than a few people out there running around. Yes, your dog, Cassandra, your dog is very, very cute. The running around saying, see, it's not a race thing. And yes, there is a component, and on the surface you can see it could look like, okay, it's not necessarily a race thing in this scenario, but that's not the whole story, guys. The story is that our police departments have become militarized, okay? And so the world's largest gang is the police departments in the United States of America. It's actually it's the largest gang there is. It's basically this system that's systemic of these individuals suppressing other individuals, especially people of color and or of lower income status, right? They're the keepers of capitalism. Okay? They're the keepers of the capitalism. And so the people that constantly get hurt and harmed tend to be in lower socioeconomic groupings. When it doesn't matter what color the police officers are, they're there to enforce that shit, and their own culture inside those departments reinforce that us against them mentality. They beat that man to death. Whatever he did wasn't a death sentence. They've all been fired. So you know that what they've done is wrong. It's pretty hard to get fired as a cop. It's pretty hard to get fired as a cop. And before you again make this a race thing, understand that like ICE, right? The immigration people, like 52% of ICE is Hispanic. And yet we know how they treat people. This is about the boot stepping on the neck of the poor. I want to go, okay, so what is it? My brother in Christ, why does my back have me feeling like that Tennessee cop? Right? There's those jokes. Primetime talk. Patrol officer Megan Hall, who is married, was fired for engaging in a sexual relationship with multiple men. On the LaVergne Police Force in Tennessee, 8 cops have faced action so far, with 5 fired and 3 suspended. Word is it may be more suspensions on the horizon. The Tennessee cop who was fired for sex romps and crashing her car should have at least pulled over to the side of the road for that sort of thing. Let's see. I'm from Tennessee. Even we know not to mess with Georgia cops. What the fuck is this Tennessee's? Let's see. Tennessee cop fired for sex romps faced termination after preventable traffic accidents report. They risked their whole careers for someone who looks like Morty. Right. But what about these fucking guys? What about these guys? Like, this is a 5 to tango, right? It takes 2 to tango. It takes 5 to tango. I just, it's meme after meme. It's article after article. It's meme after meme of denigrating her. But I don't see enough of this fucking dude or this guy. Why is that? Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? This is this poor man Tyre Nichols. That's just happened. I got something else. It's meme after meme. Okay, so these are never trust a cop. Just ask Megan Hall's ex-husband. His wife worked Tennessee's LaVergne Police Department. In no way in hell. The chief wasn't in there. Also, we're talking about cops here. Not be honest with people. Strong principles, honor, integrity. They're at the bottom of the barrel. I don't know about that. There's see, makes great fodder. Just banging on her. Yet this man died. Married female cop fired for having sex with at least 5 male officers. Chilla was giving head while on the job. Okay. I kind of afraid, but I kind of want to hear what this fucking piece of shit has to say. So
there were so many stories that were in the news over the weekend that were on par with exactly what we're discussing. And I'm sure you guys saw this one about the Tennessee cops
not because
gone
of the
wild.
way she looks,
I think it's the way to describe it. Cops gone wild, particularly a woman named Megan Hall, 26-year-old of the LaVergne Police Department in Tennessee, who was recently fired after a probe found out that she engaged in sexual relationships with multiple officers. Wait, it gets better. Megan Hall performed oral sex on colleagues while on duty, had affairs, and proposed threesomes with another officer and his wife, and whipped off her bikini at a Girls Gone Wild hot tub party. Colleagues on second shift also noted Hall's drinking and harbored fears about her mental health. They reported that she had unloaded her weapon and dry fired the gun at her head so she could hear what it sounded like. And she admitted not reporting that to anybody. Long story short, she then claimed that she was in an open marriage and she tried to recruit her sheriff's deputy husband of 4 years, Jedediah Hall, that's her husband, for swinging sessions. But apparently her husband is clean cut. Jedediah is actually the son of a pastor, and he was not really on board and instead confronted his wife of 4 years for cheating, according to the report. An update to that story is that the husband essentially said that he wanted to work on their marriage despite this scandal. And it doesn't sound like they are going to get a divorce. And this kind of led to a very big debate online, namely, by the way, with Michael Knowles, not only just a colleague, not only just a podcaster and show host here at Daily Wire, but also the godfather to my sweet little baby girl, Louise. And Michael and me have different perspective on this. And so we're going to fight Michael. Okay, so Michael tweets this. First, somebody tweets at him and says, Michael, is this a good enough reason for a divorce? This is not a troll. It is a question. I am being sincere. And the reason I was going to Michael is obviously a very faithful Catholic, and he says the church does not believe that there are any grounds for a divorce, and he is correct that is the Catholic Church's teachings. Michael Knowles responds to that individual, and he says, strange as it may sound to our modern culture, nope, he does not believe that this is grounds for a divorce. Her having sordid sexual romps with her colleagues and having threesomes against the desires of her husband. I'm just going to say, as a side, I think the husband is lying and saving face by saying that he wasn't really on board. I think clearly they were in some sort of open arrangement, because if you were not on board,
I think that's totally possible.
And then you found out that your wife was sleeping with multiple men in the department and having threesomes, you would definitely not say, it's time to move on from this scandal and we're going to work on our marriage. You would be absolutely livid. You would fly into a rave. I mean, there are stages of grief and stuff. And the fact that he's just like, oh, let's just move on, and I'm not really on board, seems a little shady to me. But to Michael's commentary,
I hate that I agree
it is
with
not grounds for a divorce. I tried to understand it, because as you guys know, I'm not Catholic, I am Protestant. My husband is as deeply faithful in the Catholic faith, in his Catholicism, as Michael Knowles, and they're great friends. And I asked him, like, what is Michael talking about? This sounds so crazy to me. And obviously, it's not biblical. In Matthew, it very clearly states in the Bible, except for adultery, right? And Michael kind of used this to be pish.
Bitch, listen, what's grounds for divorce for you is not necessarily the case for everybody. I know this is going to be really hard for you to understand. Not everybody thinks nor should think the way you do, Candace. Okay? Like, something can happen inside of a marriage that isn't, okay, kosher. I'm sorry, that's Jewish, and I know you don't like them. But something can happen inside of a marriage or outside of a marriage that is hard on the marriage, and people decide to stay together. There's this weird thing, this mature thing that happens sometimes with some people, where you look and say, my choice is to work through this with this person or not have them anymore. You can choose to do that. Now, it's fucking hard and it can be embarrassing, but like, you can choose to maybe not want to lose your best friend, your wife, your husband, your partner, and work on the thing together. Especially if the only harm that was done is breaking some marital vows. We're not talking about like she didn't lose the house to gambling and now they're homeless. Candace. She didn't accidentally fucking suffocate one of the children. Right? She did something that sounds like she wasn't supposed to do. But like the real harm? What's the real harm other than a lot of pride and a lot of ego? I know that's going to be hard for you to understand. I get that. I get that.
Protestantism and very new age. And I think what he's getting at, and what I'm hoping he's getting at, is that the Catholic faith would say that this is grounds for an annulment. And my husband said, yes, this would be grounds for an annulment, right? Which in the Catholic faith means that the marriage never existed. So you can go and you can get your marriage.
I can't with her anymore. She's
old and basically.
I can't with her anymore. I just can't with her anymore. I will tell you that this guy, Jebediah Hall, this is the one thing I am going to say. He's giving me the Dwight Schrute from The Office vibes. There's no question about that. He's definitely giving me Dwight Schrute vibes. I don't know how you feel about that. So there's this other case that took place, and I think in, or is this it? Oklahoma. I know Jack Murphy was married in Tennessee. I'm gonna see if I can find it. No, I don't want this. This other story that happened around the police and a man that was shot, a disabled man. And I think it happened in Oklahoma. Let's see if I can find it. I want to talk about this a little bit. Because again, okay, police shooting. Let's see if we can find this. This will just be crazy just watching all this as it is. But there was gun and shoots as intruders. Good night, everybody in this room. Okay. National Conservative. The shooting of Jason Harley Kloepfer by the Cherokee Indian Police SWAT team looks a heck of a lot more egregious than the vast majority of black men shot by the police stories hyped by the media. I can't even believe I fucking read those words out loud. So let's see if we can find someone besides this fucking piece of shit to talk about this particular story, because it's a really important story. Okay, here's the Cherokee. Okay, so what was the Cherokee Indian Police Department done? He was shot 4 or 5 times 8 days ago, and they're releasing no information. So, all right. Cherokee, I wonder if I can. Okay, so he's caught it. News. Let's see if we can find this. There's a news article about this to start with. Well, that'd be a good place to start, and then they can explain it.
Welcome to the big leagues, where our go-kart all.
Sorry, let me get past this. I don't want to. Got to pay for it. So a man was woken up by the SWAT team in his trailer. His man and his wife, and he's a disabled man. And he went, and so the police were there, and they ended up fucking shooting him when he answered the door. And so it's crazy. I've seen the full video. I'm not going to be able to play the full video. Oh fuck. Well, the news played it, so let's see.
That's the moment Jason Kloepfer was shot by Cherokee Indian Police Department SWAT team. The scene unfolded due to a 911 call where the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office was dispatched.
Okay, tell me exactly what happened. Okay, my neighbor about an hour ago started shooting off fireworks, screaming, yelling, he's going to kill the whole neighborhood, yada, yada, yada. He's discharging a firearm. I've been videoing all of this.
The caller claims he's a neighbor to Kloepfer and heard shots fired, and Kloepfer's wife stopped talking.
They've been over there screaming and yelling and fighting for the last 45 minutes. And he's revving his motorcycle, but as soon as I heard those shots go off, he cut the music almost off. But I don't hear her over there anymore at all.
The caller claims that he heard about 10 shots. Upon arrival to the scene, deputies were unable to make contact with Kloepfer, but one of the deputies noticed a gun had been fired.
We do have at least one shell casing out in the front yard.
Believing there was an armed suspect and potential for a hostage situation, the sheriff's office says they obtained a search warrant and requested assistance from the Cherokee Indian Police Department SWAT team. Around 5 in the morning on December 13th, the SWAT team showed up at the home. And you can see Kloepfer and his wife wake up.
What's going on? See what they threw in there. Now, check it out. Let's see. Can I expand this? All right. You see that right there? That's a drone. They threw in a drone. Let's go back. They threw in a drone into the man's house. Right there. Wait. Sorry, guys.
You can see Kloepfer and his wife wake up.
So here he is in bed.
The video inside of
Now,
Kloepfer's trailer shows
what he's picked up, and rightfully so, they kind of edited this up. And I don't like the way they did that. What he's holding is the drone that they threw into his house. So he's waking up from bed. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know why the police are there. He's telling them and he's coming. And like you would do or I would do, there's this thing rolling around the floor in his home and he's picked it up, right? It's a very natural thing for you to do. What is this? And he's picked it up and he's walking to answer the door and they're telling him to come out.
Made their way to the front door. Moments later, the SWAT team opened fire.
Look at this. Maybe get back.
Later in the video, you can see the SWAT team appear to be in the home, realizing Kloepfer has a camera.
And you can see right there, look, that cop.
He was taken.
That cop walks in and goes, "What the fuck?" The other cop goes, "Cameras, cameras." Now, and then they stop talking.
Linger in Chattanooga for treatment and was charged with communicating threats and resist, obstruct.
This guy, this Kloepfer guy has camera in his trailer, right? He's recording what's going on in his own trailer. This isn't police footage. You know for a fucking fact that the body cams on these cops, they would not release this footage. This shit would be stuffed down in a hole for no one to see. But this guy had the camera. Now, fortunately, this guy didn't die, right? Thank Krishna. This guy didn't die. But at least not yet. But it looks like he's going to be okay. But if he had not had this footage, we wouldn't know about this. We don't know how often this fucking happens. I mean, you even saw that cop go, "Well, fuck," like this, and the other guy go, "Camera, camera, camera," and they stop talking, right? I don't think we've seen body cam footage released by this police department yet either, by the way. The reason this is out, believe it or not, the piece of shit libertarians are out there screaming about this because it's the invasion of fucking property where a SWAT team, I mean, they got their warrant and threw that fucking, threw that fucking drone in there. It's almost like it was bait. If you think about it, it's almost like it's bait. There's like a fucking drone rolling around on the floor. Like if they got a drone rolling around on the floor, the reason it's there is it's got a camera and they can see what he's doing. They can see that he's walked in and he's bent down to pick it up. And that's what he's walking to the door with. And they shot him.
And delay.
There's no one else there to shoot, guys. You might as well go home.
Welcome to the big leagues, where our go-kart all-stars take personal shopping to the next level.
The original joint statement from the Cherokee County Sheriff's Department and Indian Police SWAT team, "What the hell," said an armed man confronted the officer, leaving no choice but to shoot him. They start off by saying an armed man. Unarmed, disabled man who was complying, gunned down by SWAT in Western North Carolina. The man survived the shooting. The local media at the time said the sheriff's office says Kloepfer eventually came outside and confronted officers, forcing them to shoot the suspect, which was false. Their first inclination was to fucking lie and say he was armed and that they had to shoot him. They immediately fucking lied. If he didn't have that film, that footage showing the truth, you wouldn't know. This would just be another one of the fucking bad guys that was shot. Pay no attention to the video evidence. Just repeat the story told by the sheriff. Press covers for the North Carolina Sheriff's firing squad video. In late December, members of the Cherokee. Yeah, so this happened late last year. Oh, so it was the Cherokee Police Chief Indian SWAT team shot and wounded him, but the video does not show that what WLOS 13 reported in the article. Did WLOS 13 do any more investigating on this incident? Cherokee Indian Police Key is Indian Police. Are they on tribal land? I don't know about any of that shit. I don't want to get into any of that. If fucking cop's a cop is a cop. I don't give a fuck. This poor fucking guy. Robert Burns, campaign manager for a GOP primary candidate, was accused of raping and sodomizing a woman while she was incapacitated in South Carolina. He was charged by Cherokee Indian Police with leaving his child in a car while he was in the casino gambling, and he pled guilty to beating his wife. He seems like a wonderful motherfucker. All right, so I think I might have had enough of dirty cops for the fucking night. I mean, they're fucking each other. They're shooting at they're shooting unarmed vehicle or citizens. They're beating other citizens to death. It was quite the Tuesday night, huh, guys? So that was just some stuff I wanted to talk about with you guys tonight. Get my take on it. So we're either slut shaming or we're beating each other to death as far as cops are concerned, or what did I do there? Or shooting a disabled man in his trailer. So okay, with that, I think I've been on. How long have I been on here? Hey, 56 minutes. That's pretty good for me. I'm doing pretty good. Still got one viewer. I don't know who you are, but I love you very much for sticking with me through this whole thing. Had someone named Cassandra H in the chat. That was cool. Got to do some chat. I'd like to see some more people in the chat in the coming future so I can interact with you guys. If you don't like anything I've had to say, quite honestly, I don't give a fuck. Get your own YouTube and you can talk about what you want to. In the meantime, I love you. See you next time. Like and share, subscribe. Namaste, bitches.